Hello, patrons. It's Tuesday, July 26th, and this is your Cup of Jones. Hello, everybody. It is past midnight on Tuesday, July 26th. I wanted to sit down as soon as possible after Comic-Con and talk to you about San Diego Comic-Con. For everybody that was there, I hope you had a wonderful time. For everybody that wasn't there, I hope you enjoyed all of the awesome trailers and exclusive footage that came out, whether legally or otherwise. I know I saw a lot of stuff and it was very exciting. I want to talk to you specifically about games. A lot of cool things happen on the Marvel side and the DC side, television, but I went there specifically, obviously to hang out at Comic-Con because Comic-Con is awesome, but I went there to play games, and there were a lot of games that were not necessarily within Comic-Con, so I want to talk about some of those, some which I don't believe Easy Allies has officially reported on yet, and some we have reported on a lot. I just never got a chance to play them, but I had a lot of fun at Comic-Con. We had a meet and greet, which about a dozen gentlemen showed up to at the Marriott, the Marquis Marriott and Marina, right next to the San Diego Convention Center. We had a jolly time. One of them bought me a beer. Some of them brought chocolate and other treats, and it was a really jolly conversation. And thank you to all of you for hanging out. So that is one official Easy Allies meetup, one unofficial Easy Allies meetup. Hopefully, we will have many more before the end of 2016. I got my newest Mega 64 t-shirt, which I usually get at PAX and Comic-Con whenever I hang out by their booth, and a lot of people came up and said hi throughout Comic-Con, and that is always really uplifting. I really needed that. One was a couple that was hanging out at our hotel, and I was getting all of our stuff and getting our bags, the suitcase and everything, and she just said hi. I've seen you on Red Dead Revisited and met Amanda, and it's really great connecting with all of you. I'm really excited to do that again at PAX. I'm excited to do that again at upcoming events that are in Anaheim and here in Los Angeles. So hopefully I will meet more of you, and every time will be the same amount of fun that it has always been. We have lots of games to talk about. Comic-Con happened, and here are the games I played. So again, a lot of these are games that we have covered before on Easy Allies. Specifically, Gears of War 4, Titanfall 2, Battlefield 1, Forza Horizon 3, and two exclusives at the end that we have not covered yet. One that's very exciting that I'm very excited about. But let's go up the top of the list. Let's talk about Gears of War 4. I played Gears of War 4 briefly when the beta came out, so I played multiplayer for a little bit, and I remember, of course, seeing all of the different gameplay sequences that have been at the different press conferences, but I had never actually played with headphones on, with basically an unlimited amount of time, as long as I wanted to go through the demo, I keep in mind, none of these are like exclusive appointments. This is stuff that was available to everybody. Specifically, I played the single-player demo, which Marcus Phoenix is in, which I don't know how much we talked about during our coverage of E3, because I wasn't there for all of the discussions, but it was cool fighting alongside Marcus Phoenix and blowing stuff up and having, again, headphones on and really kind of being able to focus in on the demo. I played Gears of War 1, and I think I played 2 for a little bit, didn't touch 3. I don't really have a ton of love for Gears of War, but it is pretty gruesome. I'm excited about seeing how the series evolves on the Xbox One on a new console. I think one of the two most impressive things were there was a lot of evolving cover. There was a lot of opportunities that were popping up throughout the fight where you could go and run and dive behind something that wasn't there, or, you could run up and dive behind something and it wouldn't be there because they would deliberately try to shoot you. The AI was pretty good, but there was a lot of stuff flying around because the other cool things, there was a lot of really crazy weather. Again, the headphones, there was always kind of something beating down on us because the level took us right through a storm, one of these crazy twisters that they also showed off in the footage that they showed at E3 this year. And that was on the show floor. And then I also went to Nerd HQ, where they had a lot of other Xbox games, and there they had the multiplayer demo, which is the same as the beta. I usually like to play as Cogs, but I played on the other side, and we won the 2 out of 3, so we actually won the multiplayer segment, but I have a good time with that game, and I think that game looks really good, and I think the big curiosity now is kind of what are they going to do with the story, and is it going to be enough? How long is that game? Is it going to be enough to satisfy a lot of people that are done, maybe moving from something like an Uncharted or waiting for this new franchise on a new console? But I enjoyed both of the, demos that I did, and thanks to just kind of how they had them situated, maybe I got there really early on Thursday when I played Gears of War, but I was able to just kind of walk up with very little wait and check out those games, which is cool for a lot of people that weren't able to go to E3, and but definitely make a place for Comic-Con every year that are comic book fans but also want to play games. Continuing the series of games on the Xbox One that I played at Nerd HQ, I also played Titanfall 2, which I hadn't played before at E3. I played Titanfall 1, I enjoyed Titanfall 1, I didn't fall in love with Titanfall 1, and I was curious what Titanfall 2 was going to do. I like grappling hooks. I mean, I like Batman, but specifically I like when you play a game and they give you something that lets you just kind of shoot. I think ever since the first Tenchu on the PS1, I was like, yes, more of this in action games. So the grapple might be kind of a cheap addition because it's something that other games have done before, but I like the way Titanfall 2 does its grapple. Again, there's a lot of other fantastic things to say about Titanfall 2. This isn't like an official Titanfall 2 presentation. These are just my initial impressions. When you typically shoot a grappling hook in a video game, it sets up a straight line between you and the point where you want to go, and then it kind of sets up this the later Arkham games have done a better job of giving you a little bit of weight, even though it looks kind of silly when Batman's zigzagging through, pipes and stuff, trying to get to his destination. But in Titanfall, when you shoot your line at something, you don't just make a straight beeline, completely defying the laws of gravity towards the point where you shoot at. You actually you're kind of connected to this and the cable is pulling in, but it doesn't affect your gravity. So if you jump, if you just fall off of a building, you'll fall like you would before. It's not enough momentum pulling you forward to keep you airborne, unless you double jump, which you've had the ability to do before in Titanfall, which adds actually an extra layer of verticality, if you will, to using the grappling hook. So long story short, if you shoot at an object and then run and double jump, you get flung in the air actually pretty high. And I, only had one match with the game, so I didn't really get a chance to, grab it onto Titans, whether it's an enemy Titan or a friend Titan, or coordinate different moves where, they could do a Colossus Wolverine move and just throw me across the map, especially for more objective and moving object type, multiplayer type. So that could be a lot of fun. Again, kind of a cheap device to throw in because it's something that people have done before, but if it's fun, it's fun. Battlefield 1, a game that I know Huber has talked a lot about, but I haven't played before, and I got to play on the PC, again at Nerd HQ. We won. I had a lot of luck at Comic-Con this year. Lots of interesting vehicles. Love the zoom out on the map, which I know I would assume Battlefield has done before along with other franchises, but when you're picking your spawn point on the map, you get I remember Battlefield 2 doing this, but the fidelity is just amazing, especially when you bring in the Zeppelin and see how big that is, and you can zoom out and just kind of see it moving across the map when you want to respawn. Lots of interesting vehicles because I got in a tank and actually wrecked shop. I don't know if it just wasn't where there were a ton of people, but I was able to kind of sneak up on people inside of structures and blow holes in the walls and take them out. But there was a crazy car that had a machine gun on the back, and there were all sorts of great old school bizarre vehicles that are on the map, and it was kind of fun bumping into these things and of course blowing them up. And finally, just tanks of all sizes and armored cars, and the map we were playing was very traditional, just kind of hills and fences and a small little bombed out town. But darn it, that's a gorgeous game. Lots of really good use in smoke because there's a lot of gas that you need gas masks for. And I only really played one general type. I mean, I just did, mostly assault rifles. And again, I ran around a tank for a bit. But gosh darn it, that game is beautiful. Forza Horizon 3 obviously has been covered by Mr. Daniel Bloodworth before, but it was right there, and I hadn't played Forza yet. I've played Forza games before, but I hadn't played 3, so I was like, what the heck, I'll play 3. I got in a Ford Shelby GT 350, and I love that there are lots of different facets of the race. So they start you off in the car that you choose, and then they throw you into another car, and then to another car. And in one sequence, as Bloodworth mentioned before, you have to race a Jeep that is being flown along by a helicopter. And one of the things that's really fun about the sequence is the guy in the Jeep is yelling at the guy in the helicopter, and so he'll smash into buildings and bounce off of stuff and get really upset. So you can hear his audio as he's driving around you. So, which is really fun, and I think separates a lot of what Forza does from a lot of what Horizon does from other Forza franchises. A little more silly, that Forza, and I like it. And great terrain variation. There was lots of, you went by the beach, you went through the forest, you went through a jungle, you went through a metropolitan area. And it was a great showcase, given that it's an open world map in a very short span of space and time, to show off a lot of what the environments and the weather and the gorgeous engine of Forza has to offer. So lots of pretty games on the Xbox One. Also played a creepy 2D puzzle game excuse me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, named Goetia. It's part of the Square Enix Collective. I went in there and I was actually curious. I'm like, I don't have a ton of time to check out all of these indie games. And there were a lot of people at all the stations. Some were like party games, some were more adventure games. And I was like, let me just play one. Let me see if it catches my eye and let me see if I like it. This game is a creepy 2D puzzle game where you're a girl who dies. Spoilers, it's in like the first second of the game where you find out that she supposedly fell out of a window and you're just a little sprite and you're flying along and again in 2D, you know, going through parts of this house and uncovering runes and trying to figure out what happened. That was really good. The audio was really good. It was very creepy. I don't know if that game is necessarily my speed, but it is on my radar now and it wasn't before. So if it looks like something that you would enjoy too, it is on your radar now as well. And finally, there are two more games. One I played, one I actually saw in a theater, saw a live performance of, that we have not covered yet before, I believe, on Easy Allies, according to the other 8 guys that played and captured games while they were at E3 this year. The first one being Dead Rising 4, which I have played Dead Rising 1 and 2 and 3. I beat 1, I didn't beat 2 and 3, just for the sake of time. I liked 3, I'm glad Frank is back. Obviously, these games are silly. Obviously, these games are fun to run around and just smash stuff up. And so it was very smart that the demo at both, I believe, E3 and at Comic-Con, and I'm assuming at PAX this year, was a set 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to either follow story stuff, 5 minutes to maybe run around and find objectives and fun armor, or 5 minutes to just use your starting weapon and, you know, beat up zombies. And your starting weapon was an axe that was very Thor-like. It was an electric axe that would just do general lightning damage to stuff that you were attacking, and if you built up attacks and combos and stuff, it would build up a meter, and then when you unleash that, it would do a Thor attack, big lightning attack to all the zombies in the area. There was crazy armor, there were crazy vehicles, it had shotguns, were spinning in circles, were blowing stuff up. There was a person there that was encouraging people to do all sorts of crazy stuff and pointing out fun places in the environment. Definitely felt like a demo. Demos are actually something the Dead Rising series has done really well, and so it was great to just have like a small slice of this game and run around. It's Christmas. It's also in Willamette. He's back. I think they call it Willamette in the game, but I think the locals actually, because I believe that's in California or close to it, call it Willamette. Willamette, yeah, Willamette. But I had a good time. The controls were a little loosey-goosey, like turning Frank is a little quick, kind of reminds me of the early GTA games before they kind of smoothed it down closer to something like Uncharted in GTA 5 and GTA 4. But who doesn't love running around and smashing zombies? And it's coming out this holiday, and it's Christmas jolly zombie slaying, and so I can imagine a lot of people are going to get down with that, including me if I have the time. And finally, I got to watch the first chapter being played by Jeff Miller of Telltale's Batman game. With Mr. Troy Baker, the voice of Bruce Wayne, in the game, in attendance, making quips and helping Jeff pick the right decisions. And I loved it. I can't really talk about it too much, other than saying it's really good. I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to make different decisions. There were things that were very traditional and it was fantastic seeing that great classic representation of Batman. Other things that were totally wacky and completely out of control as far as like that. I don't think that theme has really been explored in Batman before in the comics or the TV or the movies that I've seen. So some exciting things, especially because there were, you know, a myriad of paths that we could have taken. This was just one playthrough that I saw. So I'm going to do an impressions video that I'm going to put up the day that game comes out. And then if I get time before it, hopefully I'll put together a review. If I don't, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to play that game at least twice, possibly 3 times each chapter to try to get the outcomes. And then I'm going to check with the rest of the allies whether I'm going to score that one game or whether I'm going to wait until the whole series is over like we used to do at game trailers before we actually attach a review to it, but a review score. But I will still stream that game, I will still talk about that game, I will still trumpet the hopeful success of that game because it looks good, it sounds good, and the story's good. Before I move on, from San Diego Comic-Con, which is very exciting, and very hot, and very crowded, and very enjoyable, Nintendo. I was a little harsh on the Nintendo Mini. I saw it in person, it's adorable. The actual device is extremely cool. I'm just kind of sad for Nintendo because last year, there were some very exciting things that not only I got to check out, but I got to show Amanda. I was like, oh, this is kind of an exclusive. It's not as exciting as being in E3, but you know, some people haven't played this game yet. And I think the Kirby game that just came out for 3DS was the only thing that I believe came out in 2016 that was there at Comic-Con. I think Pokken Tournament I think was also there as well. They had like a Pokken Tournament championship. Splatoon was huge. Splatoon was, so they have their place offsite, which is at the Marriott, and then they have a booth at actually at E3, and I think they had like one or two. I think they had Monster Hunter and they had Splatoon. And I'm not knocking any of these games. These games are great, and I'm not knocking the opportunity. I feel bad like bringing it up because there's a lot of families that are there that don't own those consoles that are going to Comic-Con, and like how great is it if you can just park your kid and have him play a video game and appreciate that experience. But as a journalist, as somebody who's really looking forward and eagerly anticipating the next things that Nintendo has to announce, they didn't really announce anything at Comic-Con. And I have been to Comic-Cons in the past where Nintendo has brought things that were very exciting. And so that was unfortunate. But there were still a lot of people there, and they were all, obviously having a really good time. I picked up Alpha Sapphire, Ruby something, another Pokemon game. Don't tell Kyle. Played it for like 5 minutes just to see. Walked around like a space station with like a shuttle in the background. A little Brandon Plays Pokemon exclusive here on Cup of Jones. And then, because I actually picked it up because I thought it was either Sun or Moon, and was like, oh, okay, cool, I'll get a Sun or Moon exclusive. But that would actually be what Nintendo should have done and given access to whatever. So that's it. That was San Diego Comic-Con. Those are the games that I played, and we have a ton of questions to get through. So this might be a chunky episode. Let's get to them. Before we get into any specific questions, there was lots of love for just Cup of Jones in the comments last week. Thank you very much. I was talking about possibly not bringing it to you every week, as evidenced by last week I was at Comic-Con. And so it is Tuesday of this week that you're getting Cup of Jones. And again, I'm not 100% positive when you're going to get the next one, but I know I am going to be working on it. You know that if you leave questions on this episode anywhere in the comments, if you are a patron, that I will read it and I will make a educated decision on whether to answer your question at this moment. I have decided to answer all of these questions. Thank you for asking them. Fluffhead108 is very skeptical. You read every comment, huh? Did you read this one? Well, did you? Jones? See, I read it. Lexad loves the forums. Are there some plans for the future to use the forums in some different ways for community engagement for shows and ally involvement in shows moving forward? Yes. Lexad is a platform. It is there. It works. We just have to access it, and we have to use it, and we have to reap the benefits of bringing in the community. Case in point, something that I am way tardy in doing, which is having a Toy Box Tuesday forum where people can let me know their gamer tags on PlayStation 4, and I can make up appointments for them to come in and work in the Easy Allies Toy Box. Again, that just takes time, and it's time that some of us have taken. Daniel Bloodworth in Mr. obviously Brent Phillips that built it, and Michael Damiani are kind of more involved in the day-to-day of the forums, but the rest of us need to be more involved, will be more involved, and obviously more updates on that soon. Bradley Spees has a suggestion. Have you ever thought of providing Cup of Jones, in non-video form when time is an issue, like a blog on the website? Maybe little Cup of Jones bonuses. One thing that I want to have happen is if my responsibilities move away from more business stuff and more into more creative stuff, like actually creating videos and having more time with Cup of Jones, it'd be really fun to make a lot of the episodes unconventional and a lot of the ways that I give you information. And so, yeah, maybe just a quick little update on some of the opinions that I had on Patreon would have been a prudent thing to do while I was at Comic-Con. Perhaps I will change my method of gathering my Comic-Con news and delivering it to you next year when we get into year 2 of Cup of Jones. Mike Cunningham is helping us with social. Would you guys ever consider setting up a Facebook fan group, as well as your normal page, like those that Kind of Funny, the Comedy Button, Video Gamer UK, and the Jimquisition have? Yes, that's probably something that we would do, maybe give ourselves a little room, maybe after we're around for a year or 6 months or, 10 months, or we just have a more substantial presence. I don't think there's necessarily a race to do that, but that is a really good suggestion, and that's something that I have not been thinking about lately, so now I am. Thank you. Cesar Villa is getting deep. Should I leave a question? To leave a question or not leave a question? That is the question. Cesar, no, you don't have to. I got a lot of questions here. I got like 4 or 5 pages of questions here, so I'm not in a need for more questions. All these questions are awesome. When I get repeats, when it's something I'm like, yeah, I talked about that 2 weeks ago. If you ask a question and you're like, oh, he didn't answer my question, that's probably why. Unless I can tell, like, haha, you're being silly. That's a silly question. Or no, just go back into an old Cup of Jones episode and you will see me address that. And maybe I'll address that in the future, 1 or 2 months down the road if it seems like a good time to update people on something that we're working on. But don't feel the need to ask a question. I got lots of good ones. I'm not hungry for questions. Aldaira is talking Disney. Given the current sad state of Disney's relationship to games, RIP Infinity, are there any Disney properties you've always been interested in seeing adapted to game format? Or any other ways you'd like to see the company blend some of the other things they do with the game world? I have a really boring answer for you. I'm sorry, that's Disneyland. I'm really surprised that we got a Japanese Super Nintendo Disneyland game back in the day. I think we might have gotten one other handheld one. There's a mobile game where you build like a theme park, but it's like not really Disneyland. I don't really like it actually. And there is, of course, the Kinect game that wasn't half bad actually. It was kind of a trip walking around Disneyland because some parts were recreated like perfectly and other parts weren't. So I was like walking into walls a lot because I was like, oh, okay, I can't go in that building. It'd be great to have an open world, 3D platforming puzzle action fun game where you like walk up to pirates and you go on a little pirate adventure. I don't know why we haven't had that. That's what I want. Again, I know you're like, oh, Disneyland again. Boring answer. Stormcrown wants to check our ledger. What if you never reach 50K? Related, do you spend all of your existing revenue or are you saving up a portion of that Patreon money? It's okay if we don't reach 50K. We didn't think we were going to reach 10K. Really. I mean, we had no idea this was going to be as successful as it is right now. And so for something that has far exceeded your expectations, it's hard, or at least it takes a long time because it hasn't happened yet, where you get more expectations that reach a point where 50K has to happen. Have I thought about 50K? Every day. Every day I've thought about getting that studio and what we could do. Every single time I cut one of our shows or look at one of our shows, I think, oh man, I want to have a booth back there. I want to have a place that we can all go to, that we can shoot the shows that we do. We can have more shows. Yeah, I think about this stuff all the time. But at the same time, I try to distance myself from it. So if it doesn't happen, if, we tend to hover around 39, 40,000 every month. If I, wake up next month and that's at 30K, then we all just adapt to, we stop doing the shows that we said we are going to do. That goes down a couple tiers, and we adapt and we move forward. As long as we can still connect with our audience, I think that's the most important thing. And that doesn't seem to ever go away. So hopefully that will continue in the future. So not a fear. Brandon, if at the time of death you could upload your subconscious into any game world for eternity, what world would that be? That's tricky because there are a lot of places where I really like stories being told. Like Star Wars is great, and Westeros is a lot of fun to watch things happen. And Gotham, of course, is a place where my imagination hangs out a lot because I really like Batman. But it's got to suck to live in Gotham, and it's got to really suck to live in Westeros, and it's got to suck to live in Metropolis because you're in a building and then you're dead. So. It's tough to think of places that I would actually want to go. Like I would want to be someplace like Katamari Damacy, or some place is just nonstop joy. So the first thought that I have that I'm going to go with really quickly is the world of SSX. That would be rad. Just if I got to be sucked into a world, let me just snowboard into infinity. Matt McCarthy has a fuzzy memory. I feel like Michael Huber still owes us a clarinet performance for some reason. I don't think so. The clarinet performance that I saw on twitch.tv/GameTrailers, I enjoyed. So he gets a vote for having done it, from me. Adam Mulaney wants specifics. You can't just say you've been to Wales and not say which part. Do you know what your Welsh heritage is? Adam, I'm sorry, I don't. I'll, next time I talk to my mom, maybe she can then bug my dad and I can get the information on that. But right now, when I'm shooting this episode of Cup of Jones, I don't know. Whammy Time asks, now that you guys are off the leash, have any of the allies expressed interest in creating content about interests other than video games? I think all of us have expressed it. I think all of us have talked about it, but I think universally that's something that we want to avoid right now because we are so young and we're still trying to figure out how everything works in Easy Allies. And so there will be time maybe to focus on that later, but it's not something that we want to occupy a ton of our time right now. That said, Easy Update, kind of veers off the tracks and every now and then, or all the time. And Huber Syndrome definitely focuses on the cinematic arts. And I know we talk about all sorts of crazy stuff in the podcast every now and then that it might not be specifically games related. And, I get lots of questions here about Batman versus Superman and all sorts of other, comic books. And I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. So yeah, it really depends on the show. I don't think that you'll see a lot of crazy new shows from us in the near future because we want to get really good at doing the stuff that we're doing and want to manage, obviously, the money that's coming in, how much we're getting paid, how much we're doing, and how quickly we're able to bring that content to you. So that's really our focus right now. But heck yeah, who doesn't like talking about stuff other than video games? Surf Spider is curious about rest time. What do you do to step away from games completely to recharge, so you keep your passion for games alive, allowing you to then come back to work, play, ready to go? Nature is probably the best thing. which is kind of a lie because I don't do it a lot, but going hiking is fantastic. If you like games like Red Dead Redemption, if you like going up into the mountain and going like on a BMX in Grand Theft Auto 5, if you like open world games, or you like games, you know, MMOs or something where you can like go off into the wilderness, get out there into the wilderness, because those smells, you know, the thrill of actually seeing like wildlife, you know, like seeing a deer stare at you like into the woods, like you know, I've seen that several times, and it's great. It's like the beginning of Firewatch, like that moment, the whole Firewatch, the entire game, you know, resonated with me on such a level, because I'm an Eagle Scout. I have been to you know, Arizona and all sorts of crazy places around the world, and hiked. So hiking is sweet, camping is sweet. Again, if you like nature in video games, get to nature in real life. It'll make the nature in video games better. Friendly Merlin loves the planet. What are your favorite plants? I'll let my wife maybe weigh in on that later, because she's really into drought-tolerant native plants here in Southern California, and she has a lot to say about that. I love plants. I like all plants equally. Go plants. Brandon is ready to reminisce a bit. What is the one episode, stream, or video you have enjoyed most making, editing, or watching since Easy A's inception? Probably Brandon Plays Pokemon. I've rewatched those many times. I've rewatched some of the reviews that I've done, but I've rewatched those just because those are happy memories. It's like a time capsule of the beginning of a franchise that I will probably play for the rest of my life. So I will always revisit those. I will always be grateful for those, and I'm glad that a lot of you enjoy watching those as well. Also, it dawns on me that you read all the comments, so when do you and other allies read them? I read all of these comments immediately before I shoot Cup of Jones. When I shoot Cup of Jones is when I get to the very last question, and I paste it over, and I print this piece of paper out, and then I sit in front of the camera, and I shoot the show. Darren has an out-of-this-world idea. If possible, when No Man's Sky drops, Easy A should group stream it, discover and name a planet, announce the coordinates, and mark that planet as Easy Allies. Yes, that's an excellent idea. Thank you. I imagine that No Man's Sky would win the group stream even if we put it up for a vote, so that is probably something that is in our future, but you thought of it first. Excellent idea. Matt loves animals. Please highlight the other allies' pets and say what superhero pet you think they would be in your Justice League. I don't know any of the allies that have pets other than Michael Damiani. I haven't met his pets in person, but I have seen them multiple times when streaming with him and looking at a camera into his apartment and seeing cats walking around. He has 2 cats. I guess they would be the Wonder Twins. I don't know his cats very well. I'd have to meet his cats. I'd have to look him in the eye, and then I'll get back to you. Ben loves dogs. When is Sophie streaming Nintendogs? It's a tricky game to stream, and I don't know how Sophie would do with the stylus. But hey, if you guys want to watch it. Otoshigami is on point. What is your favorite Disney character of all time? It's probably a tie between Pinocchio and Peter Pan. Peter Pan's my brother's favorite, so I just kind of like, you know, absorb that through him. But Pinocchio is my favorite Disney film. Pinocchio's kind of a knucklehead, but maybe Geppetto then. Maybe Geppetto's my favorite, because Geppetto is a creator. He brings things to life, kind of like Disney did. I think maybe Disney saw a lot of him in Geppetto, which is why he really liked that story. And I love that movie. So yeah, again, boring with the Disney answers. You'll get that movie from me every time. Tim is checking up. I remember that a few episodes ago you talked about possibilities for new reward tiers, and I'm wondering if there was any progress made. Yes, in that we have talked about it a lot of different times. We almost bring it up every Tuesday. We group stream when we get together, and we talk about possibilities for adding tiers onto those rewards. And yeah, it's something that's come up, and we haven't just reached a consensus, because a lot of times ideas that are presented and put forth and then really put into motion almost immediately with Easy Allies are stuff that really resonates clearly with the entire group. Everybody's on board, everybody likes it, and not everybody has been on board, and not everybody has liked, you know, some of the ideas that we've come up for those tiers. Not because they're bad ideas, or not because it's creating turmoil within Easy Allies, but just because they got to be great, they got to make sense, and we got to know that we can guarantee to deliver them. We're all pretty darn busy, so if we can figure out how to squeeze another responsibility in there, then you'll get more tiers. You'll be able to donate at a different level, and I mean, thank you for wanting to do that. Thank you for wanting to have more customization there. You should. You deserve it. James asks a relevant question. Would you be able to interview more people in the industry in the future? Yes. Traditionally, I don't know if I've said this on Cup of Jones, you know, I'll be a broken record about this. Reviews never really did well for us at GT. They decline drastically in viewership. Again, that doesn't really matter, but I don't want to do interviews if it's really, out of obligation where, we'll book an appointment, and if we book the appointment, we have to interview that person. I want to have a conversation with people. I feel you have a more natural conversation with people if you just kind of walk up to them and talk about a game. There's no lights, there's no camera. They don't have to do a canned response. You can really ask them weird questions, and they don't feel like, this answer is going to be heard by so many people. And you kind of get their impression, and then you bring that back. We bring that back to the table, and we talk to the rest of the allies about it. I like that a lot. I think that's the best way to do that. Sometimes we get access to a really cool creator, a really cool developer, somebody who we might want to talk about other things in life. So if we were to get a Miyamoto, if we were to get, really anybody and sit down with them, an Ed Boon or whatever, and talk about their career, talk about where we are in the industry, talk about all sorts of crazy stuff. It'd be great to possibly get like the YouTube stage or get someplace other than here. That's a little flashier, a little fancier until we obviously get our own studio. Sit them down and talk. Again, not something that we are eagerly searching for, but something that we would totally want to do. We always want to talk to people, whether it's on camera or off. So you can probably expect more of that sometime in the future. Natalie is concerned, are you guys all happy? Yeah, I'm especially happy. Again, I can't speak on behalf of people that I am not, but I just got back from Comic-Con. I hung out with a lot of awesome allies. I'm in a pretty good mood. Kian is curious, if you hadn't started Easy Allies, what would you have done? I probably would have gotten back into video production to pay the bills, and then I would have done a lot of creative writing to maybe try to get a writing gig on a show or create a show or work on a film or something like that. Probably would have explored other production aspects in other mediums to learn more, to grow more, get excited to meet more interesting people, which I'm kind of getting to do now anyways, and getting to do my old job at the same time. Dream come true. Alex is getting emotional. Do you or any of the other allies feel emotionally affected by negative or hateful reactions to your content? Yes, always. It happens. You have an emotional reaction from something that people said that really bums you out, and it's frustrating. I think I mentioned this on a podcast, on our podcast recently, and saying that you get 100 really great comments and you get one that didn't like it and isn't really being constructive with the criticism, but is just kind of being generally straight and negative and stabby. And it's frustrating, and it's surprising how much that bothers you, given that it's just one comment. It's tough to really let that get us bogged down. Again, I'm just speaking for myself, so I should probably just talk about myself, but I never really let that get in the way of wanting to push forward, because there's so much positivity. Obviously, there's a lot of negativity on other websites around the internet about us, potentially, but I don't really read that. I spend a lot of time producing content for all of you, so I really focus on that, and I read comments when I can, and I hopefully try to have a dialogue when I can, but don't let that stuff keep you down, and I will try not to let it keep me down. Beatun912 asks the most important question: is it hard to balance what you want to do creatively or from a business perspective for EZA with what the patrons would expect? It is getting easier every month. It's getting easier to determine what our patrons want. It's getting easier to get feedback. It's getting easier to produce that content. It's getting easier to manage schedules. That doesn't necessarily mean that all of this is easy, because every time you open up time to do other things, it quickly gets filled by those other things, but we are getting better at this. So yeah, I don't think that we really feel constrained by our patrons. I think it is a whole new dimension that has only broadened our perspective at what the possibilities are for producing content around video games and journalist stuff. So so far so good. Sven asks, I'm an indie video game developer and love the content you do. Was wondering if there ever is the possibility of making a game contest, of making an Easy Allies game, at least for fun. Definitely something we could do, because we have done contests, we have done tournaments, and we have made games live, thanks to Mr. Ian Hink. So, and we've released games. So that would be definitely something fun that we could do. All sorts of art contests would be something fun that we could do in the future. Again, it's something that would be consuming a lot of our time, when a lot of our time right now should be devoted towards producing content, but great idea. Matthew is talking business. Have you ever considered hiring a business manager like Penny Arcade did with Robert Koo? Yes. I don't want to do all the business anymore. I love meeting people. I love going to events. I love going to parties. I love getting face to face with people in the industry, saying, hi, I'm Brandon from Easy Allies. We are cool people that talk about cool video games. We think your video game is cool. We think you're cool. And try to forge relationships. Obviously, Daniel Bloodworth does a lot of that directly with developers and publishers. Michael Damiani does a lot of that directly with, Twitch and with YouTube and with a lot of internet people. And Ben Moore does a lot of that with our patrons. But I really want to do that on the ground floor and really meet all of the people, awesome people that are out there in PR and that are working for all these different companies, running all these different companies. So to have more time to do that, I would put somebody else in charge that would just try to steer the ship, and I'd be very fine being a sidekick and just getting to do creative stuff, because I've done a lot of things for game trailers and now for Easy Allies, and editing and hosting and streaming is the best. So if I can only do that. Jordy is talking bets. Huber has issued a challenge to all the allies for the Slusser Cup. Since you are on an unstoppable betting winning streak on the Easy A Weekly podcast, will you accept the challenge? Probably not, because I did lose this week. Spoilers. I lost because it was a coin bet. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we got to figure out which trailer. Actually, there was a lot of Sonic trailers that were announced. Long story short, maybe. I'll do it if it'll be entertaining. It definitely seems like the story of the Easy Allies bets saga is kind of like leaning in that direction. I don't want to get, wrapped up in the turmoil between Cal Bossman and Mike Huber, but if it's got to happen, it's got to happen. Tim is bringing up old friends. Could you please, pretty pleasey, bring Rocco DeMaro in as a guest? I love Rocco. I don't think Rocco lives in California. I don't know when Rocco ever comes out to California. Rocco used to work with us at Game Trailers. Rocco likes baseball. Rocco is a very talented, very attractive, very kind man, and I like working with Rocco. I like talking with Rocco, and I used to play Clash of Clans with Rocco. Rocco's near and dear to my heart. If Rocco's in town, Rocco wants to come over to my house. Seb needs some clarification. Why do you have a fireplace in your garden? Blame the people that moved into the house before we moved into the house and lived here for a while. They actually got married in the backyard. Anyway, they put some weird stuff around. I used to have a saying that I would repeat when we first moved in here that I would tell Amanda, look, honey, look what I found. I would just say that over and over and over again, and because that's kind of seemed the design choices for a lot of the crazy things they did with the house. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. That I kind of dig over there. I kind of want to like frame pictures and hang them from the tree and make it look like an outside-inside, kind of like theater in the park or something, but Amanda's not really down with that, so haven't pursued that goal. Jethro loves the Dreamcast, and who doesn't? I've always been curious if the Allies have favorite Dreamcast games. Soul Calibur, Crazy Taxi, and Virtua Tennis were the three games I played a ton of when the Dreamcast first came out. Didn't really make a lot of time for Shenmue. Played a little bit of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 later on. Didn't own a Dreamcast. I only played a Dreamcast with a friend. So it was really at launch that I was obsessed with it. I would go over to my friend's house a lot. My friend Jeff that I created GameTros.com with, he went the Dreamcast route, and I was perfectly happy just with my PlayStation because there were a lot of fun games on that. But what a system, especially given its time and place. There should be a documentary about the Dreamcast. Fascinating console. Michael has a legitimate concern. Do you worry that you are losing out on a bunch of new people who are looking for game reviews on release day? Referring to the fact that we've been a little bit late with our reviews, and again, we want to produce more reviews. We want our reviews to be more timely. If we produce something late, it's not because we're just like, we'll just do it later. It's a large part on the fact that we, unlike Game Trailers, we're not getting all of the games before now. We're still kind of knocking on doors and getting more access to stuff, which will grow. We'll get more access as time goes on and people become more familiar with us and remember that we're, who we are. And also, I've been taking my sweet time with a lot of reviews, so that's why a lot of those have been late. And there are a lot of games, unfortunately, that we've had to skip because there's only 4 or 5 of us that actually are reviewing games. So we will hopefully get to reviews faster, and we will hopefully get to reviews with greater efficiency and deliver more of them to you at a faster rate. But at the time, it's really important to me as kind of like one of the producers of the video side of our video reviews to make them really good. And I will definitely take time to make them really good instead of sweating an embargo. But maybe sweating embargoes is something we should do soon, but not right now. James is getting technical. There may be technical limitations at your end, but I was wondering if it's possible to upload gameplay videos to YouTube at 1440p. I don't think we can do that right now. I think that is beyond our technology, but I think that is something that we will pursue in the future. I don't have an answer for you, but that was an extremely awesome technical question. That was a great benchmark. You were very jolly in asking it, and I will put that there. I will put a check mark next to that and try to get there. Steven is looking ahead. What new plans, ideas for the rest of 2016 can we expect for EZA? All sorts of stuff. More reviews, more shows, maybe some of the shows we did before that are coming back. Deus Ex retrospective, another Game Sleuth that is coming in a couple months. And obviously, it's going to be a big review season. We're going to do the Game of the Year awards at the end of the year like we always do. I was a little skeptical whether we're going to be able to produce that, but all of the guys are extremely on board to do that. So there's a couple things. Ibrahim is anticipating the fall. With review season close, how will you survive, Brandon Jones, father of VO, slayer of reviews? I will hire someone else to help me cut reviews, or I will get Ian and Don and give them noogies and make them cut. Mark has an inquiry. Could you tell us more about the day-to-day of managing EZA and how you distribute your time? Monday and Tuesday are definite work days. I have a really clear schedule that I do on Mondays, and obviously on Tuesdays starts with Toy Box Tuesday, ends with the group stream, and then the podcast, and then I cut the podcast and throw it up to YouTube. Wednesday through Sunday are variable. Sometimes I work on, obviously Brandon plays Pokemon, Cup of Jones, reviews, and other streams, stuff like that. Some Thursday nights, I've been doing Red Dead Revisited. Saturday mornings, we did Space Quest for 2 weeks. So the other days, again, are kind of open blank slates for me to do stuff in general work. There have been a couple weeks where it's just all editing. I just literally bounce from one special to one review to one feature to another promo. And some weeks, like this last week, I went to Comic-Con, and the week before that, I actually had a lot more free time than I usually do. And so free time is opening up, and I'm getting more of a chance to maybe work on things outside of Easy Allies so it doesn't totally consume my time, but hopefully either taking more time to make the stuff that I'm already working on better or work on new stuff. Lexad is going to his happy place, going to Disney World in a few weeks. Want me to pick you up something you would like? Don't worry about it. Treat yourself. Tim is event hungry. Are you or anyone from EZA in town for Gamescom? Probably not, Tim. Sorry. Robert I. wants to talk GTA, so let's do it. Since GTA 3 takes place at the end of that timeline, what developments would you have had happen in the story at that point? I would have liked... I'll answer the question this way, and this is the last one before we get to an editorial, if you will. I've always really wanted to, it would cost too much money, but I would love to go out and cast people as, Carl Johnson and Tommy Vercetti and Claude Speed and all of the different protagonists from all of the GTA games in that era, not in the GTA 4, GTA 5 era, but in all of the three, in GTA 3, the Liberty City crew, in Vice City, and in San Andreas, and bring all of those characters together from that universe in a short film or something, not a feature film, but in a short, in one little action sequence a la Heat or something like that. I think that would be really fun. So maybe that answers your question, because I always imagined that it'd be really great if all of them met on one big heist. I thought that's kind of where we were going. I actually was shocked when I played GTA 4 and I was like, oh, this is in a totally new universe. They're kind of rebooting this like the New 52. So never really thought about that, but you've kind of put that thought in my head. So if I have a more developed answer to that, and you maybe ask that question at some point in the future on Cup of Jones, maybe I'll give you a more elaborate response. But right now, I would like to introduce for the first time on Cup of Jones, my wife.
Well, hello, and welcome to Cup of Troop.
So, are we in your garage?
We are in my office, and as you can see, it's sort of a wizard's library, and I got a really cool thing at Comic-Con. Points, if you know what this is.
Yeah, do you want to just be awesome and not say what it is and see if people can guess what that is?
What is it?
What's that from?
What's that from?
You got it at Comic-Con, so it's probably from a comic.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see. So did you have a good time at Comic-Con?
I did have a good time at Comic-Con.
Did you have a good time with Brandon at Comic-Con?
I did, although I actually didn't see you that much.
Yeah, because you were on the show floor a lot, and I was running around to Nerd HQ and to other places and playing video games.
That's right.
So you got to see actual cool panels and, see cool celebrities and do cool things. So what was cool? What did you do that was cool?
Well, I think my favorite thing was I'm in this improvised Star Trek show called The Improvised Generation. You can find us on YouTube. And a few of the cast from the show came down, and we all wore our Starfleet uniforms, and we cosplayed as our characters from our show that we do. And we looked awesome. And we went to go see the Star Trek and NASA panel, where they were talking about how science fiction influences real science. Can you just focus on what's happening right there? So that's that sound you're hearing. It's not tribbles, it's our animals. And anyway, Robert Picardo, who was the emergency hologram doctor on Voyager, was there on the panel, and he has this web series that he does called Planetary...
What is it?
I don't know.
So what is this thing called?
So Robert Picardo has this really cool web series that he does called The Planetary Society. And the videographer was outside of the room where the line was, because lines, Comic-Con lines. And we were hanging out waiting to go in for the panel. And he was like, hey, you guys look cool. Do you want to talk about science and Star Trek? And we were like, yes, we do. So we got interviewed for this show, and we even got to meet Robert Picardo, and he talked to us and asked us trivia questions, and it was like really exciting.
And you enjoyed cosplaying?
I did enjoy cosplaying, but I wonder, like I was cosplaying as a character that I play that's not based. It's based on Star Trek.
You're not playing a character if you cosplay? I'm
playing my character that I invented.
But people are also playing a character if they're just cosplaying. I mean, they're creating their own
what
character.
I'm saying is, like, I was so comfortable because I've been this character and I know everything about her. Whereas, like, I wonder if I'd be as comfortable, like, trying to be Harley Quinn on the floor. I don't know. I could try.
You were also comfortable because you managed to cosplay on the one chilly day of Comic-Con this year.
Yeah, chilly.
Which was expertly done.
Was like 82.
Yeah.
So, did you see my shirt?
Yes, I did see your shirt, your Companion Cube shirt.
My Companion Cube shirt. Can I sing my song?
Yes, sing your song and then take us out.
Okay. Here's the best part about it. I think I'm writing it. I might write a whole song. Well, there's no use crying over having to wait. If you see them trying to get into Hall H, Indigo might be better, but the weather's not. No, something like that. Indigo might be better if it were sweater weather. And believe me, there is still a line. I'll go to bed and there'll be still a line. I'll be on the train and there'll be still a line. It'll be next year and there'll be a line. Be a line. Be a line. I'm going to write the whole thing. Anyway, cheers.